Before I start, I will really just be today giving you some information that I've gleaned over many, many years. Different information, different advice. Again, like the disclaimer states, is specific to your business needs, your business requirements and what you have in place. All of the different products that I will kind of mention in what I'm stating today are not necessarily endorsements by me. They are products that we may sell, we may not sell. But what I've edged towards here is effectively a solution that might help you for a small to medium business to be able to help you, protect your environment. So what is cybersecurity? In short, cybersecurity is protection of internet connection systems such as hardware, software, and data from cyber threats. So if you have a computer, a laptop, which is not connected to the internet, you don't have to worry so much about the whole cyber protection side of things. That being said though, pretty much everything we do, actually my wife and I are about to have a baby and we went out and bought a new washing machine because the little washing machine was not big enough to be able to handle all of the stuff that we've been told we have to wash now. And the washing machine is Wi-Fi connected, which boggles your mind because you think, why do I need to have a Wi-Fi connected washing machine? That being said though, pretty much everything we bring into our house these days has a connection to the internet. So our lives are so heavily intertwined into the internet, everything needs cyber protection. The practices used by individuals and businesses to protect against the unauthorized access to data, applications, and computerized systems. What I want you to think about at the moment is that when you go on the internet, we just open it up. We go to Facebook, we go to Google, we ask things. Everything you do on the internet is tracked. You are probably the most visible user on the internet because of what you do. Now, take it to the point, we've all seen building sites. Many of us have been on building sites. We've seen what has to happen. Building sites have become so heavily regulated in recent times due to people having accidents. And that's the reason for why they have so much around them. When you walk onto a building site, you'll typically see all of these different things. You have to wear high vis, you have to sign induction sheets, you have to put in licenses, you have to do this, and this. You don't walk onto a building site without all of these things, and it can be up to a 45-minute process. And each time you walk in, you've got to sign in and sign your waivers and whatever else. Truthfully, you should be treating the internet as the same dangerous, high-risk situation. You should be watching above you. You should be watching around you. You should be, maybe the high vis is a bad example. We're going to try and not have the high vis inside of internet, but you should be having a hard hat. You should be very, very careful about what you do on the internet. What I'm trying to do here today is not to scare you. I do a lot of cybersecurity awareness training, and the intention is to scare people for that reason, scare them into not doing the wrong thing. What I'm trying to do here is just to give you the tools which will help you protect you, your data, and your client's data on the internet. So why does it matter? There are some actual regulatory requirements in this country. The biggest year being the Privacy Act, 1988. The Privacy Act was due to be updated in 2020, but we had this little thing called COVID, which kind of pushed that behind a little bit. It will be updated. Be mindful though, there'll be amendments more than a complete and utter overhaul, but there are protections to both individuals and there are protections to businesses, corporations, not-for-profits, pretty much any type of organisation under the Privacy Act. As a small business without a turnover of up to $3 million, you are kind of protected by that, not big enough to have to worry too much about privacy. But in serious instances, under OAIC and Privacy Act, you could be up to $363,000 out of pocket for a breach of privacy on an individual or a corporation. Really, really important to understand that if you are putting your client's information, their tax file numbers, their personally identifiable information up into an Excel spreadsheet, which is just in a public platform and is not protected, and then that information gets gleaned or taken, you could be up for quite a serious fine as a business. You don't have to have a turnover of $3 million. There is also the notifiable data breach. These all lean, the OAIC basically manage this. They manage the Privacy Act and they manage the notifiable data breach. Do people know what notifiable data breach is? If information or if individual information is breached, such as you have information in your system and that is breached. So let's say you have Xero accounting and then someone logs into your Xero accounting and they get your client information. You must by law tell the people inside of your system and your clients that your system has been breached. Once you do this, you will have the OAIC actually coming in and helping you. AFP will help you, ASD will help you, and they'll help you work towards how you can then clamp that down and help your clients be protected. But keeping it, brushing under the rug, throwing it in the cupboard and closing it and running away, going la 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 la, doesn't work. Not in this country. There is a requirement, notifiable data breach. You must tell your clients. It's a harrowing thing. You don't want to have to do it, so you try and do everything you can to avoid it. But there is now a law that states you must do it. Okay, so it is important to you. Most importantly, I'm too small. No one is going to target my data. I'll tell you now, the internet is not about people advanced persistent threats are what they're called, APTs, trying to come and get your data. 99.9% of the hacks, the breaches and the likes are script kiddies. You might have all heard about, there's two softwares out there, very, very easy to get, Kali Linux. We're all taught how to use it, especially with the cybercrime and all the TAFE courses and the likes are all told to get Kali Linux. It takes you about 20 minutes to load it up on a little computer or onto your computer you've got as a VM, and away you go. You can start hacking whatever you want. It's basically done for you. Now, the really, really complicated stuff and the stuff that's going to get into your systems, 9 times out of 10, is from a very, very good, professional and persistent hacker that wants to get that information. But surprisingly enough, if I told you how easy it is to get stuff on the internet and to get into things and to get into people's Facebooks and emails, it would scare you. What I'm going to tell you today is how you effectively push those script kiddies away, which is probably 90% of the hacks and breaches that you get on the internet these days. So no one is too small to be targeted. They're not targeting you, it's opportunistic, ultimately 9 times out of 10. How do I work out what I want to protect? We, 4 years ago as an organisation, decided to do ISO 27001. It was a big, heavy, expensive process. We didn't get external consultants in. We decided to learn the process, to learn the standard ourselves and implement the policies ourselves. As an organisation, we always pushed the technical standard. We're very good at the technical standard. We always did audits around IRAP. ISO 9001 to 27001, there's so many different types, okay? But the biggest thing about it is that it causes you to take an overarching look at your business. And everything about your business is underpinned by risks. It is the single word that you need to really, really consider around how you build your business plan, how you see your business moving forward, how you've seen your business going from beyond, and how you've changed. Everything you do in business is a lesson. Doesn't matter how experienced you are. And there are people here that I can see that are very experienced and have had multiple businesses or have just starting off from the beginning. You're both in the same step. It doesn't matter whether you've had 10 businesses, you will learn constantly on the job. And the risks and risk management and risk register is one of the best ways to get ahead of the game on anyone else. So this is where you work out how to work out what you protect. You do a risk analysis, you work out what your risks are, and then you decide what you're going to do with the risks. Really, really simple. Your risk analysis is to either accept the risk, this risk is going to be too expensive, I can't manage this, I want to get rid of all the hackers on the internet. Not going to happen. So you either accept it. You assign the risk. And this is what Heston will talk to you about. You can assign that risk to a cyber insurance company. And you go, this risk is too hard, too expensive, too big for me to manage. So I'm going to assign this risk to an insurance company who will then manage that and protect me and provide me a shield. Okay? You share the risk. You can share that with, you're looking after your business, you're looking after your information, but you don't want to have to manage the security of that. So you would share that with a company like us or another IT company and say, I need to ensure that my data is being kept in a nice, secure way. So I want to share that risk. Still your ultimate responsibility to keep your client's information safe, but you will share that with an organization that's a professional organization that can help you best protect that information. And you mitigate. This is where you try and remove the risk altogether. And it's all on yourself. So you're not necessarily sharing it, you're not assigning it, you are mitigating that risk by trying to remove it or remove that, shut down that risk or take away parts of that risk that are going to allow for it to kind of eventuate. And the most important thing that you need to consider here is the personally identifiable information. There are so many different risks. What's a risk? You go, you're an air conditioning installer, you have a $20,000 job and you don't get paid at the end of that job. You're now out of pocket $20,000 plus your man time or whatever else. So one of your mitigations might be that you're going to ask for a 50% upfront deposit, right? So that means you've mitigated a little bit, you've tried to pay most of the hardware, your loss is going to be minimal. That is one set of risks, but I'm going to talk about the cybersecurity side of risks. And a lot of what you need to do around cybersecurity is thinking about personally identifiable information. I don't care what you do, you are likely holding personally identifiable information in your organization for your clients. You have to have clients, you have to have people that you look after inside of your business, you have to be providing a service ultimately, and that service is to provide services to other people. You are likely holding personally identifiable information for someone. This personally identifiable information is a first name, a last name, a date of birth, and an address. That is all you need to pretty much get into anyone's system these days. We all know this. When you call up Optus or you call up the bank, what's your date of birth? What's your address? What's your email address? Those are the three things they ask. Three of the easiest things to get for anyone. How do you get someone's date of birth? Go to their Facebook page. Go to their LinkedIn page. How do you find their first name, last name? Same thing again. 9 times out of 10, how do you find someone's address? Used to be you go to the white pages. It doesn't exist anymore. But you can get this information really, really easily. Personally identifiable information is around us all the time. Your tax file number, your driver's license number, your credit card information, all this sort of stuff is personally identifiable information. If any of this stuff you hold in your systems, in your laptop, in your computer, you are holding personally identifiable information. Okay. I'll talk a little bit more on this a little bit further on with regards to de-identification of data, but in short, you can hold personally identifiable information, but you can de-identify it so that none of that stuff can come into parallel. So good software companies, specifically medical, we do a lot of medical, they will hold the information for you. And of course, medical, they have everything about you. They have your blood type, they have your past medical history, they have, any ailments, any medications you've been on, every time you've been to the pharmacy, okay? But good medical software will only hold your month of birth. They will only hold your location as in your suburb rather than your actual address. They'll only hold your first initial and your last name, okay? And then your Medicare number. And this is where they can't parallel this information together, okay? It's a good way of working. Work on code. When you're dealing with your risks and understanding what your risks are, you want to put it against a risk matrix. Your consequence is how bad would it be if this got out? Your likelihood is how likely is it that it's going to get out. So rare to insignificant. Can we see this? You can just see it? Yeah. So just here, rare and insignificant, not a risk you have to worry about, okay? And I actually have an example of this that I quickly threw together last night to give you an understanding. Almost certain and severe is extreme. You want to stay out of this space, and it's up to you ultimately to decide what your level of risk is. Everyone has a different level of risk. Defense, their risk level, they want to be in here, right? But as an organization that is a high-risk organization, climbing up on roofs, working at heights, cleaning windows, their accepted level of risk might be high because they can never completely mitigate the fact they're going to fall off a building, okay? So it's entirely up to you as to what set of risk you want to manage. Work out how likely that risk is, work out the consequence of that risk, and it gives you what that risk effectively turns into being, okay? So I put something together. We have a risk matrix that is 250 odd risks, and it constantly grows every single year. We do a 3-monthly meeting where we have an ISO meeting and we talk about the risks. Risks we can remove, risks we can add, risks we need to update. It's about continual improvement. Your business is constantly growing, evolving, you change how you're doing things, services. You need to constantly think about this. It's a really, really good underpinning. This is an IT type risk, and I threw this together very, very quickly. Anyone can do it, and it's a really, really good foundation and good thing to do to sit down for half a day and think about your risks, okay? You think about your asset, laptop, phone, personal device. I'll read these out because I don't think you can read them. You lose your laptop. This is the risk comments. You lose your laptop or device on public transport. Client and personal data is exfiltrated off the laptop by a person who found your laptop. It'd be pretty crap if that happened, right? Not to mention you have all your photos of your kids, your family, your Medicare. How many times have you had to apply for a loan? You've got your own you've got your passport, you've got your license and everything on there. We have our personal lives on our laptops, on our phones, on our iPads. We have everything on there. If I got your laptop, I have your life. How do I fix this? The likelihood, maybe not in Canberra, we don't have a lot of public transport here. In Sydney, we do, in Melbourne, same sort of thing. I can't tell you how many times we've had clients go, oh, I lost my laptop. And they've left it on public transport, okay, because they're rushing. Possible, very much so. The consequence is severe. Because I can tell you now, when you lose stuff, it's really, really scary. It's really, really conflicting, and it's not a nice feeling. Consequence is quite severe. The risk rating turns into extreme. So just back to here, so we have possible and severe. Possible, severe turns it into an extreme risk. What do we want to do? We want to mitigate that. There's no way we're accepting it. We're not going to assign it. We're not going to share it with someone. We're mitigating that. Yeah, pretty simple. Okay. We're going to ensure the laptop is password protected. Simple. I can get past all your passwords, by the way. Any script kit can get past your passwords. So that's just the first bit. The second bit is with encryption turned on, BitLocker and a self-destruct feature enabled. All handsets, all Androids, all phones, by the way, we hold a lot of information on our phones, probably more than we do our laptops, have got a self-destruct feature in there. Look in your settings and you'll find where you can enter your passcode and it says if you enter it 10 times wrong, it'll self-destruct. Androids, iOS, do it. Turn it on, please. First thing you should do. Second thing, turn on your PIN code. Don't have a phone that you're opening without a PIN code, okay? Same thing with your laptop. Make sure you enable a password. All Windows 10 machines that are Windows 10 Pro, you pay $50 more for Pro. It's not a lot of money, but it has what's built in called BitLocker. Mac also has it as well. It's got File Vault. Two very, very good encryption apps. I find out your password. Cool. I can't get anything. If I crack your password and I can't know your password. It's very, very hard to be able to know your password and get into your laptop. Okay? But I can crack into your laptop and I can get your data. If I don't know your password to be able to get past that part and I just crack into it, all the files are encrypted. There's nothing I can do with it. So you leave your laptop on the train, doesn't matter. It's encrypted. You have now massively reduced it to a medium risk. You might go, why have I not reduced it to low? I just want to remind you, getting to low is near impossible, by the way. So we still keep it at possible, but the consequence is now turned into minor or insignificant, which turns it into a medium. Now, I would recommend you all stay around the medium risk mark. Trying to get to low, you'll see yourself in circles, to be honest. And there are some risks you have to accept as high, and you might assign those directly afterwards, okay? But if you've been able to get that to a medium risk, maybe you don't need to talk about that with Keshton, and you don't need to worry about losing your laptop and then getting that data back. You really only have to worry about the insurance and having to replace it, because it's a $2,000 laptop you now need to purchase. I won't go through them all, but I will just quickly go through accidentally, because we've all done this, me included, I'll tell you a funny story, accidentally sent an email to an incorrect or unintended recipient. It's likely, it's not possible, it's likely, you will all do it. We have all done it. And if anyone says in this room they haven't done it, lying. The consequence is moderate, and you could choose for this to be high, or you could choose for it to be minor, but it depends on the information you send in. If you're a loan broker, you're likely sending information back and forth. We just got a house recently, and the amount of information we had to send to our broker was phenomenal. And I wasn't all that happy about it, to be honest, being sent over email. What if you accidentally sent that to the wrong person rather than the bank, right? So that could actually push that to be quite high. Risk rating is high. Ensure never to send personally identifiable information over email. Make the use of web portal applications. I'll talk about some web portal applications shortly, but you can bring that now to medium. Even those of us that have been in this industry for a long, long time make stupid mistakes. We all do it, we're human, it is normal. I was sent a password sheet for a very secure organisation that we work with. This secure organization was transferring all this information over to us to be able to take over the hosting of this solution. When I say very secure organization, it was the highest type of organization that we look after from a protection standard, so you can guess. That was sent to me in clear text in a PDF, so already something had been done wrong, but there was a very good reason for why we were then taking this over from this other organization. We have someone that works in our organization called Sam. I sent an email to Sam with that information. It's an internal email. Instead of Sam L, it put Sam I. Very easy. Sent that information outside the organization. You can imagine the words that were exclaimed out of my mouth at that point. Can't be stopped. Once mail is gone, it's gone. Really, really important. We then had to clamp that down very, very quickly. We jumped straight on. We changed something like 50 passwords, shut down systems, and did everything. It was an office of 25 people that just shut down, and we did everything to basically mitigate that. Now, within 5 minutes, we mitigated it, and we raised it with OAIC and said, right, okay, well, we've dealt with it. It's not a problem. It wasn't a good feeling, though. We've all done it. So don't send personally identifiable information over email, no matter what. Just don't do it. I'm going to race through this really quick because I've been given my time. Sorry. So, how do I protect myself and my data? Password managers. Really simple and in short, don't use the same password for any two resources. I don't care. Don't do it. If someone gets one of those sites, which I guarantee you they will hack LinkedIn, they'll hack Facebook. It happens every single week. If they get your password for Facebook, they don't have it for anything else. And you go, oh, I have too many passwords to have to remember. Yeah, absolutely. We can only remember a certain number of things. LastPass, free. And it will generate passwords for you. You can put it into Google Chrome. Google Chrome even has a password generator for you. When you go to a website, it's like, would you like me to use this securely generated password? Fantastic. Don't remember them. You don't need to. You can use iCloud Keychain. A lot of us use iPhones. It's fantastic. It's a really good encrypted service. Apple are all about lockdown and protection mechanisms, by the way. Really, really good. You can use a notepad, by the way. Some of my most secure passwords are in a notepad with a coding, by the way. You wouldn't know what they're for. Only I would in my head, and they're locked in a safe. So that they're not even on the most secure system. It doesn't matter. The best way is on a notepad. But you can use KeePass. KeePass is a free application as well. Have a look at it. Fantastic little thing. Don't use the same passwords twice. Just don't do it, okay? Please. Multi-factor authentication. We've all seen it. We've all used Google Authenticator. You go onto Facebook, it says, would you like to use multi-factor authentication? You can use email type. Though if I hack your email, I now have your multi-factor authentication. Just be mindful of that. SMS, pretty good one. SIM swapping, though, can happen. Just be mindful of that. Duo multi-factor is a really good solution. It's actually free as well. You can get the next levels up, but it's fantastic and it integrates with practically everything, by the way. And your Microsoft Authenticator. The one thing I do love about this particular application is that you have 4 people inside the organization that want to access the Xero and you only have one Xero account. You can actually share your Google Authenticators, which is fantastic. You can share them between 4 different phones. Makes it really useful. Because people don't put multi-factor authentication in because it's a bit of a pain. It takes too long to have to share your passwords between everyone. I'll quickly race through the rest of these. Antivirus. I think you all know this. Put an antivirus on your computer. Cool, but I have a Mac. I don't care. Macs are actually now highly targeted. Really, really highly targeted. Bitdefender, 40 client, ESET, Trend, all very good. And they all have phishing protection in them and anti-ransomware mitigation too. They're very inexpensive applications. You can spend $100 for Bitdefender and you can cover 5 devices in your house. Your phones, your laptops, your computers, your media PC, not your washing machine, but pretty much everything else. Network security. You can really go nuts. 2 minutes, sorry, I'll keep this quick. You can really go nuts with network security. You can spend a lot of money on firewalls. Go out there and have a look at the different firewalls you can get. But a lot of the good ones now, you're not going to get much change out of $1,000 for a small firewall. That being said, though, you can actually get some really good units. Linksys make good units. TP-Link have got firewalls built into them. They do actually protect your network. It's really important to know that you need to have a firewall. It's very easy to get into most people's networks. And by the way, remember I told you about the washing machine? Most hackers actually go for your IoT devices, your washing machines, your fridges, your Google speakers, because they all use the same protocol, same software, and it's typically not updated. Firewall actually protects your internal network from those kind of devices being taken over. Patching and maintenance. No matter how good the hacker is, 99.9% of them still rely on you not patching your devices. When you get the notification from your iPhone to update it immediately. Please do it. When you get the notification from your Android to update it immediately. When your Windows wants to update, you go, I don't have 20 minutes to wait for it to reboot. Update it immediately. 99% of the hacks that come through are for unpatched systems, okay? That's just it. Patch them. One of your best defenses. I put Adobe up there because it's constantly getting attacked, by the way, so be mindful of using Adobe. Get it updated. Encryption. Last little bit. A lot of you won't want to implement it, or it's too expensive to implement, but there are many, many options. But BitLocker, most of you will be using Windows, BitLocker or FileVault. Go into your Mac, turn it on. Go into your Windows machine, turn it on. It takes 5 seconds, and it will provide you a level of protection that is unparalleled. Backups, back up your data. You can use online services. Make sure it's not in the same house. If you have a fire, you lose everything, guys. Put it in your OneDrive, put it in your Dropbox, and you're good to go. And then the final thing, and I'll hand this over to Kirsten now, and I'm sorry for taking so much time, cybersecurity insurance. If you cannot mitigate the risk and you cannot share it, assign it. We do everything that we're meant to do with regards to security, and we still have cybersecurity insurance, funnily enough through Gallagher's. It's a really, really important thing to have, and I'll let Kirsten now talk about why.
Actually, we've got some time for questions.
Oh, I do. Okay. No worries.
We have questions.
Any questions? Yep.
Oh, thanks, Mike. You got 2?
I got 2 words. Okay.
I haven't got 2 there. Thanks. Well, I'm a mortgage broker, so I don't know how much stuff you have to send personal stuff. There's a system I use which makes my life so easy. It's bankstatements.com, which is pretty new. People send me and lenders bank statements. It goes directly to me. It's the hardest thing to get. They have to use their online banking password to do it. What's your opinion of that? The banks think it's okay.
I think it's a great solution. The problem is that you do have to send statements and things to some mortgage brokers' emails. What you're doing is the right thing, and it's really, really good. And it's about using an online portal to mitigate, to share, to assign that risk. You now no longer have to worry about your clients sending information to you and your email being hacked, right? It's on an online portal system, and it's a really good way of working around that. That is sharing of risk. You still have to share it because you're still looking at it and you look at it on your machine, but you've shared it with someone else and they actually have the overarching protection mechanism. The other thing is that me personally, putting my password into a solution like that, where it's a fully encrypted solution, I'm happier because I know that they have a fiduciary responsibility to protect that data. Whereas you individually may not have that requirement and therefore don't have the insurance around that requirement. Thus, you are not kept to that standard. So it's a great thing to do. Yep.
Just a couple of Are you switched it off? Okay, just a couple of things. How secure is shared file areas and Dropbox overall? And I want to know when my $15 million inheritance will arrive.
Dropbox, OneDrive, iCloud, and all the other solutions out there are only as secure as you make them. The thing is that if you're using multi-factor authentication and you're using encryption that's built into them, they're great. There's always been this comment, and I've been guilty of this as well, is that if you share it in the public domain, it can't be secure. They can use that data. These organizations are being held to order to maintain the security and the protection of your data. But if you put it in there with a password alone and you don't have all the multi-factor authentication, by the way, was implemented by Google for all of their employees some 5 years ago with a little key. You had to carry that key, plug that in. You know how many ransomware attacks and hacks they had? And Google get cracked all the time. They constantly having people try and have a go. Zero times did they get ransomware since doing that. 0 times did they get infiltrated after they implemented that multi-factor authentication. It's the strongest way that you can protect your password. Something you know, something you have. Okay, that's what multi-factor is. So if you're doing that with your Dropbox and you're doing that with your OneDrive and your own clouds and your things like that, it is actually a really, really good way of protecting your data. It's safer probably in there than it is on your laptop, in truth. In terms of the $15 million, you would be surprised to believe that the amount of those threats and those emails that still get answered these days is in the 80 to 90%. It's scary. Yeah. It's really, really, really scary and it's really sad. But they get answered. They don't send those out as a shotgun approach to just see if they get 1 or 2 people. They actually are quite successful. Yeah.
Caleb, just a question. Because it's so dark, people haven't been able to see all the wisdom we've got on there. Am I able to share it? And if so, if anyone wants to come and give me their email address or give me their business card, I can send you a copy of the slides.
Yeah, more than happy. So it's a link. Prezi is a link. You guys can go and look at it, and there is the example of the risk register and the risk matrix as well. Please, by all means, go look at it. It's very simple to do. You just do it in an Excel spreadsheet. Risk, comment, what the likelihood of that risk is, and your risk treatment plan, what you're going to do to mitigate it. Yeah. Please take it, use it. It's free. Any other questions? Yes? Hang on, John.
I'm in accounting, and these days most things are in the cloud. Am I right in thinking that the responsibility is the people that provide you with the cloud service, because they have tax numbers, they have addresses, they have all that sort of stuff, both tax, accounting, whatever you can think of. Isn't the responsibility in their court?
Absolutely, but you're not completely absolved. You've shared it. The thing is that if you don't maintain a level of security on your own machines using multi-factor authentication and separating your passwords, insurance companies can come after you because you weren't maintaining a level of security that was acceptable. So if you don't turn on multi-factor authentication, which you can't do with Xero now, I'm fairly certain they've forced it, but if you don't turn it on and you use the same password for all your different 5, 10, 20 services, you can actually have to cop some of that risk. Okay, so we still have a responsibility personally to our clients to still manage and maintain that. However, if Xero gets hacked, you are that's not your fault, not at all. Absolutely, it is the public cloud provider that's their responsibility to keep that data safe.
I guess that's my curiosity question. When you say hacked, if everything's in the cloud, am I being hacked? If I'm being hacked, I've got nothing. It's in the cloud. How do they get from me to the cloud?
Do you save your passwords in your Chrome?
No, never.
You'd be one of the very few.
Oh, okay.
So if your laptop is picked up and you don't have encryption on it and you don't have a password on it, and they grab that laptop, someone walks in and steals your laptop into your house, walks into your office, steals your laptop, and you don't have those encryption levels on there, well, effectively, you kind of allowed for that hack to happen, you see. So that's why you still have to have that kind of level of security on your own machine.
Just one follow-up quick one. You talked about passwords. I find it incredible that this day and age, I have a number of statements sent to us from banks or financial reports and those sort of things. And guess what? The password is?
Date of birth.
Date of birth.
Yep.
Now, shouldn't that be, highlighted somewhere?
The biggest organisations, the ones that should be following the security requirements, typically are the ones that do not. Unfortunately, that's just how the industry is. Yeah. Any other questions? We're all good. Thank you so much. I'll hand over to Keston.
I might thank you first, if that's all right.
No worries.
Hey Caleb, thanks for letting us know that the internet's like a building site. It can be really tricky, there can be some issues, but if you look after yourself and you know who to speak to, everything should be all right.
Absolutely.
So, thanks very much.